people are the big opportunity, like especially employees. Like in our business where your customers they're a little more distanced. It's not that you're going in deep and to their house every day and painting and talking to them, but our employees, so the people are the biggest opportunity, but also the hardest part. And I think that transcends almost all business.
Welcome to the Painter Growth Podcast, where we help you scale your painting company in record time. Join us as we explore sales, marketing, hiring, finances, leadership, and more, everything that you need to know to scale and grow your painting business. I hope you enjoy and subscribe. What's up, everybody? Mike Hickman here, founder of paintergrowth.com, and you're listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. Different setting today. I'm actually at my parents' house because we just sold our house 2 days ago. They're in Phoenix, so their house is empty. So we are certified squatters. So that's why you can see the awesome room. But I'm here today with Mr. Luke Hansen, the founder and I believe still CEO of Company Cam. What's up,
For
Luke?
now, until I get the joke is my brother's on the board and our investors. And if the investors can convince my brother to fire me, which on some days would actually be pretty straightforward proposition. But until then, I will be the CEO of Company Cam.
Love it. Until you get Ubered, you know, the CEO
exactly.
Uber
Yeah. Throw me out on the street.
Yeah. So let's I definitely want to talk about get into customer communication and how painting contractors can leverage that better communication between their customers, with their painters, with their job site managers, with their production managers, with their sales reps, just streamline that communication. But before we get into that, I want to get an origin story of Luke. How did you start Company Cam? What's that all about?
I'll tell you what, I was working for my dad. So growing up, my dad owned a roofing business here in Lincoln, Nebraska. And, he got a master's degree he was going to be like a coach and like kind of a sports trainer. But then the job market was bad. So he's kind of just started doing construction on the side, ended up starting a roofing business that now is quite successful. But growing up, I remember him coming home from work, like that almost like the smell of asphalt and is like a integral part of my childhood. And so then from probably a slightly illegal age, I was working, cleaning up these job sites. We essentially did every job you can do, from like the newest grunt to running the sales and marketing for the business as it kind of grew. And so I have two younger brothers, so we were all working for him. And, I went to college, dropped out of college, went back to college, eventually graduated from college. And, 2014, so 10 years ago, that's kind of crazy. Like most people, we were trying to take pictures. You're trying to plan things. You want to have documentation in case there's some disagreement. Everyone was taking pictures. And I was responsible for the marketing, and I was managing kind of our exteriors, like our gutter and siding division of this business. And we didn't know that business as well as roofing. It's like we would make mistakes, and it was kind of frustrating. And so I had everyone taking more pictures so that we could try to hey, let's all look at this and get on the same page about this, rather than me telling you, walk around to the southwest corner of the house and like that downspout's facing east, it needs to face west. It's like if we're just looking at a picture and it's like this needs to go this way instead of this way, or this wall is like, I don't know, God's mustard, and this wall is the devil's black or something. I'm trying to invent the stupidest paint colors I can think of.
Sure.
But that, when you're just seeing it, you can get on the same page a lot better. And so I was doing that, and I was also trying to update our website with like our work and things like this. And I just had this problem where at all of these photos that everyone's taking, people were handing me the little SD card out of their phone. And then I'd finally get them into the computer, and they're all named like image underscore 42069. Like you can't tell anything apart. And I was just like, gosh, we're all carrying around these supercomputers in our pocket with cameras and GPS. Why doesn't this happen automatically? Like, why am I trying to do this thing that is tedious and we're failing at, and then we don't have the photo we need, and it was just a frustration. And so in kind of talking with my brothers and my dad, we were like, hey, we should, and listening to podcasts actually. I remember listening to Pat Flynn had a podcast called what was that called? Smart Passive Income, Gary V. These people who are kind of like, hey, you can do more than you think you can do. Like that kind of you're capable of
It's
more.
like that
And kind of
motivational mumbo jumbo actually got to you.
yeah, well, and it's like kind of opening up the world of like, hey, I see this problem. Yeah, I don't know how to write code, but I use apps and I feel like I know what this thing needs to do that would help us. And you talk to people and thinking like, okay, this is a broader problem than our one roofing company in Lincoln, Nebraska. Now, I don't know, we could screw this up a million ways, but I came to the point where I was convinced that it would work. And I think that's something that when people think about kind of like entrepreneurs, they often think of people who have these like pie in the sky, big ideas, and everything is positive and it's all going to work. And then it's just kind of this like blind optimism into the future. Whereas I think of myself as being like skeptical of things, of ideas, of just like a skeptical person. And I'd spend a lot of time trying to think, why won't this work? Like, why doesn't this already exist? Why, like, are people actually going to use this? Is it solving a real problem? And trying to think from every angle about how this was just not going to work and we would fail and the whole thing wouldn't go.
Yeah. Not
And
that's not necessarily that's like being like cynical, like not even like healthily cynical, where you're just like poking holes in your own
yeah,
hypothesis. That's not a
well,
bad thing.
yeah, I think I like skeptical, which is
Yep.
to say you got to kind of not exactly prove it to me because nothing's easier than crapping on someone else's idea or trying to imagine a way that something could go wrong. But through that process of like running this through my head, talking to people about it, I like it kind of fortified that belief that this can work. Like we might screw it up, but it's a good idea.
Yep.
That's what I came out with. And so we hired a sort of, I don't want to say surreptitiously, but I run on the ask forgiveness versus permission framework a lot
Yep.
and just hired a dev shop, kind of like a bunch of local software engineers that build software for companies to kind of make a like a prototype version of this. And that was working for us. And you learn things when you make something. Like at first,
In
it was really
2014 too,
important.
there were a lot fewer tools than there are now for making apps.
There was, and that's where. Well, I'm going to get into this part of the story, but finding people to work with you on your endeavor is harder than finding customers or than finding investors a lot of times, like because that getting great people have options and they probably already are doing well. They like in selling them on, in a sense, changing their life to work on something else is with a lot of risk, is a lot in my opinion, is harder than signing up your first customer. Like, that's a hard
I'm
thing
gonna
to
push
do.
that one step further actually, because like hiring an employee is different than hiring someone who's going to be building something with you, right? Who like shares a vision, who wants to like not spend every waking moment on it, but like truly like invest their thought energy into making it better and going with you. Like that's
Totally,
completely
and
different.
committing to something of a long-term journey, it's not like, "Oh, well, I'll come work there for a few months, and if I like it." They can always do that and just leave, but yeah, that being said, a lot of there's a lot of talent, great, talented, hardworking people with good attitudes that are working in a job that isn't where their potential is not being fully, taken advantage
For
of,
sure.
and that having kind of this vision of the future painted for them, something that they can kind of believe in and be like, "Hey, could we do that? Let's try to do it."
Have you
Like
ever heard
that.
of the term like a wantrepreneur or like an intrapreneur?
I've heard of a wantrepreneur. I haven't
Yeah.
heard of an intrapreneur
So,
though.
like, a
That's
wantrepreneur is, like, someone who always just wants to be an entrepreneur, but, like, is always too scared to, like, take the leap,
mm,
and then an
yep.
intrapreneur is, like, in my definition, is someone like inside a company who's like taking on an entrepreneurial role and starting up like their own division within the company. Like
Mm.
they're backed, but they're still like being creative and doing that whole entrepreneurial type thing, but they're like backed by the company.
And that I think we have a lot of that here, and partway lucked into some people like that, and I don't know, probably a combination of things. I'll take like a little bit of credit, but
How
there's
big's
also
your team
so much
now? Sorry to jump
uncertainty.
around, but how big's your team
Yeah,
now?
we got like 250 people now.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, when we first launched the app, there were three of us. It was me, Chad, who was like our coder, and Jared, who was our kind of designer, and he sort of coded a little bit, but it was like, hey, you're just looking at each other. We need to do this.
Yeah.
How do we do it? We got to figure it out. Um, but trying to catch this story again. So we started, it was working for us. And I realized, hey, if we believe in this and we want it to be a real thing, we need to find those people. We need to find those people that will be committed to this and are going to be better at their piece of this than I am, like, because your leverage as an entrepreneur or as someone running a business is fundamentally finding people. Like, people are your leverage.
Mm-hmm.
And the more great people that you can find to point at the same problem or set of problems and to work together on them is how you can scale, well, yourself, your business. But it's also, it's just hard. But I mean, I think I lucked into some great people, and we just started chugging along, and it never felt like it was going great. Like, we've come a long ways. We have 250 people now, and there's moments of like success. Like, even today, we had a great month. We had our best January in the history of this company by like a mile. Because seasonality is a little bit of a thing, and so uh, my CFO and I went to lunch, and we're just talking about, oh yeah, mostly about the future, all the things we want to do, but the celebrations are somewhat temporary. It never feels like magic, like Uber or something that's like, oh, what was this thing? Now it's worth $100 billion. But that kind of like sticking with it, believing in it, believing in the people, believing in listening to your customers, trying to help solve their problems. We kept at it, and we are now here.
Yeah.
And we know a lot more. It's one of those funny things. You get a lot for as you go further. I think of it like a video game, almost like a map. You're in some game and there's like a map, and at the beginning it's all dark. You can't really see much of the lay of the land, but then as you kind of walk around, you're sort of exposing areas of the map that where you can kind of like see further out.
Yeah.
That now we know a lot more and we can see a lot more, but you also know a lot more of what you don't know.
Yeah. It's the known
And
unknowns versus
you
like
get
the
even
unknown
more
unknowns.
humble in a sense, just about, yeah, about things, uh, because of what you don't know. And then you see other people do stuff and you're like, oh man, I wish we were that smart.
Yeah, so
But
scaling a business is something that, and this isn't necessarily where I thought we were going to go with the conversation because I want to talk about like communication and pictures and all that stuff, which is what you guys do best. But you are an entrepreneur. You found a problem and you solved it, and now you, and with the help of your team, have built a awesome company. Like, what do you like? I know it's hard to say, like, what do you attribute the growth to? It's just like, constant bullheaded determination. But like, what did you find was harder than you thought it was going to be on this journey? Like, what would you think the
mm,
hardest thing was?
I think people are always, okay, let's say for me, but I think it's fairly consistent that like the people are the big opportunity, like especially employees. Like in our business where your customers they're a little more distanced. It's not that you're going in deep and to their house every day and painting and talking to them, but our employees, so the people are the biggest opportunity, but also the hardest part. And I think that transcends almost all business. Like, I got an email from one of our investors this morning. Hey, there's this new software and they're using drones and they're doing this cool stuff and they're going to try to like start a company everywhere. And I was like, yeah, hey, that's cool. But the hard part is every day, the employees, the customers doing a great job, keeping good relationships, managing your own emotions, leadership, and that like getting that one next job isn't
Mhm.
rocket science. Painting a house isn't rocket science. It's hard to actually stay on top of that operation and imagine the future and work on your business and do like it's really hard to do. And so I would say that like for us that that is the hardest part, but it's also the best part and the most rewarding part. What I usually say is some version of how did you get here? Well, it's just personal genius and uh, incredible taste, just some
Talent.
nonsense.
Yeah.
But that being said, I do what I do think I'm trying to figure out how to say this without sounding like a complete idiot. But like this idea of having a vision for the future that you can mobilize people behind, like a story and a that helping people imagine how the world can be different, I think is a very powerful skill. And I know that to some degree I have it. And I know there's people out there that have it dramatically better than me, but that seeing how people what they're capable of, imagining where your business could be and where your product could be, and helping other people see that, like helping them step out of kind of what's right in front of them and kind of like believe and see the future is I I think is really crucial, and I think that's something that we did really well. Is like we had a picture of what could be, and then we went at that, and we were all kind of like moving at that together,
Yeah, like
and it
all rowing in the
wasn't
same direction.
oriented. Yeah, and it wasn't just like a sales quota or these numbers are good. I'm not opposed to any of this stuff, but that idea of imagining the future, kind of envisioning it, and rallying around trying to make that possible, I think it had a big part of our success.
Yeah. How do you go from like, what was the development process for you as a leader to go from someone who's just working at the various aspects in a roofing company to, now leading 250 people?
Mm.
Like, did you follow like the EOS framework? Did you read any like books that gave you like
We
aha moments?
That's actually yeah. So we did do EOS, and we still do parts of EOS. Like
Or do you have an
EOS,
integrator?
I think is awesome. And I guess I don't know that it's better than any other thing,
Yeah.
similar thing, because I'm not like an expert. But my strong suit is definitely not managing people, structuring meetings and promotions, and like the kind of like blocking and tackling of running a business. My general principle is if you don't know the rules and you don't understand why they are the rules, then you are in no position to break them.
Well, you're the
Like
visionary, right? You're not the implementer.
exactly. And we don't have to be super ingenuitive on how we manage people and how we conduct a meeting and how we promote. Like we need to be imaginative and sort of future looking in this product. And we may discover, like we did, that some parts of EOS aren't actually the best way to run a software company that's growing and has X number of people. But some things we've kept the whole way through. So I will say EOS and having that structure was definitely helpful. And we started that maybe 2 or 3 years in and then ran it pure for a while. And then kind of we've
I think that's what
off of
most,
it.
like, successful businesses do is they take it as a starting point and then, like, figure out how to make it your own.
Yeah. And once you get familiar with it and you understand the why of a lot of it, then you're in a position to say, oh, we could try something different here. We could do this. But from the get go, yeah, that you don't need to be inventing a new way to just sort of operate.
Yeah.
You need to be serving your customer. There's all sorts of things, and EOS is really good for that. Like my I don't know if it's an aha moment, but that realization that I was building a business and not just a product, and that the people are the business. Like a business, it's kind of like there's no such thing. It's just a bunch of people who are deciding to cooperate and collaborate and negotiate toward working in a direction together. We don't have to have the same religion or or all the ways in which we associate outside of this company are 250 different people. But the reason we're here is because we're trying to accomplish this thing together, and that the people are at the bottom of that. The people build the product that the customers use. And so I care a ton. Like, I spend free time drawing up app screens, and I'm a complete nerd. I really like doing that. But if I was still our number one designer responsible for all this stuff, we would be next to nowhere. Like that. For me, that was this huge realization. Now, I still have a ton to learn about, on this journey of leadership. One thing that really helped me was having worked for my dad for a long time. I don't know, off and on for, call it 20 years, was seeing how he ran their business. And he's a sharp guy, but he's not super creative. He's not a business genius, but like, he always had this investment mentality in the future. He treated people right, employees, customers. He told the truth. And I just saw that work over time. And I saw other people who, to me, it kind of maps to like a short term thinking versus long term thinking, which is like, how do I make the quickest buck, or some little scam or something, like especially in roofing, there's just always some way to make a quick buck, being a little bit sketchy or doing something. And I
Cheaping out on the
just
undercoating
saw
or whatever.
the pain that introduced into people's like business and their lives versus our business, where, because I would go sell against these people, talking to people in their living room, and I could just confidently say, like, hey, something might go wrong here. I can't assure you that this will be perfect, but I will absolutely promise you that we are not going to leave this house until we have everything done up to our standards, which are this. And that I just know that we're the best around because I've seen us do great work consistently. And even when things go wrong, which they can, it's like that 1 out of 20 where just stuff goes sideways. You will not be high and dry. We are not changing our phone number. We are not going to ghost you. We will figure this out, and our reviews show that, everything
Yeah.
else. But seeing that kind of, it's one thing to read a book or a blog, and I think some people can learn really well that way, or maybe even some things, but almost like swimming in it, like having it modeled for you in the world helped me a lot, because I think I kind of at first automatically did some of that stuff, but then over time, like, tried to act that out and to do things that certain way, and that it just works over time.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you had like a not a crash course, but you're like completely submerged in just positive business ethics, and that
Mhm.
shows. So I mean, thinking about a software company, there's two things I want to go into. One is, why the heck do you need 250 people to run a software company? And then two, and I'm actually curious because I'm completely naive on
Yeah.
that topic. But then two,
Mhm.
I want to dig into the power of leverage and bringing on people, even though like it's a short term hit to the bottom line, but you're looking at that long term benefit by adding more manpower and leverage to your business. But let's talk about the people in your company first. Why do you
Yeah.
need 250 people to run an app?
So that's a great question. We don't need 250 people to run this app. We seemingly need 250 people to grow and try to kind of seize the future, so to speak, at the rate that we want to. So, in order to just sort of, well, I mean, we have a lot of people writing code, building software. But if all we were doing was just trying to maintain and scrape the bottom of everyone's wallet out, over the next couple years, and sort of
Coast.
not really innovate, exactly, we wouldn't need nearly that many people. Um, what we have, I mean, call it probably 80 to 100 of those people are working directly on the product managers, designers, engineers, DevOps. QA, people that test things, and there's a whole series of roles there. But it's basically we're trying to build new software. We're trying to scale up our software, and depending on the pace, you just need people to do that. That's
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe people can write a little code a little faster now with AI tools and things, but fundamentally, it's like the cost of a software business is people. that is that is the cost. That is the leverage. It's really it is people.
All fixed
So
costs, no variable costs.
that exactly like
Yeah.
even I mean we're storing 1.2 billion photos right now. Sorry, I got to turn on my do not disturb because I'm getting notifications. We're storing
On
1
like
billion
just
photos.
like Amazon web servers, or you guys have your own servers now?
Yeah. So we run on AWS, and then we actually run on two AWSs, like East, like in Virginia, and West, which I think is like in Oregon or something. So that we can switch between, or if Washington D.C. gets blown up by a nuclear bomb, then your photos are safe in Oregon.
Yeah.
Uh, but
A little redundance.
yeah, it's like speed, redundancy, and a lot of that is redundancy. Like we
Yeah.
take it pretty seriously that this stuff you're putting in company cam matters to your business, and that the number one priority is don't lose it. Like don't lose it. Don't let them steal it. Don't lose it
We're not
yourself.
gonna screw this up.
Yeah, and like that exactly. And so I mean, but we have people, on the sales team is probably 30 or 40 people. Like the most of the way is someone hears about it. Someone tells someone, or they see a Facebook ad or something. And so they do a free trial. And then we're emailing them, calling them, and really trying to set them up with a demo. And trying to say, hey, like, let us try to help you get set up to see success. Now you don't need that, but whenever you have someone to ask questions to and they kind of show you the ropes of something in 20 minutes, that really helps.
Makes a big difference in
Um,
software these days because, like, people have such short attention spans.
oh
If
yeah.
it takes you half an hour to figure it out by yourself and you're clicking around and you feel like you're doing it wrong, probably pretty likely just to abandon ship.
I wrote immediately before this call. I got into a slightly manic. I I was excited, and I wrote and some of kind of future strategy, and I said about our user experience. I said the core functionality of this app needs to be so easy to use from the very first time you open it that your dad could do it without asking anyone for help. We need to accommodate the people in the field, the people in the office, from the pro user to the guy that started today.
That's the
And that
most visionary thing that I've ever heard in my life.
that's I'm trying to lay it out for people because
Yeah.
it, which is like, and from the beginning, it's that if it is not actually simple and doesn't help you almost immediately, you're walking away.
Yeah.
You're not going to stick around. And that yeah, that really matters. So we have people um on the phones. We have a pretty I don't know, big marketing team, call it 30 people in marketing between kind of like doing marketing, the technical aspects of it. I'm looking out my little office window here at our video and social media team who are just they kill it, do a great job. Um maybe 12 people on our support team. It really
Yeah.
there are parts of
It
this
adds up.
business that scale with the amount of customers you have.
Yeah.
Something like support and or customer success, which is kind of a version of sales after you're already a customer, trying to help you
Yeah.
use new features and answer your questions, just be a resource for you.
So that you're not like
But
Google where it's impossible to get a hold of anybody.
we are not. No,
Yeah.
it's funny. I got an email directly from a customer this morning asking me for a discount on their something because I had personally signed them up 5 years ago. And that being said, we this business runs on trust, on like the ability to get your problem solved when you have a question. Because I don't know that we run on that. Hey, can we track every dollar of investment into our customer support or some of this? I mean, we can see how much we spend, but my basic opinion is you you will pay for how badly you treat your customers at some point in time. You might pay for it immediately that they walk away, or you may pay for it in 3 years when something pushes them over the edge and things have been adding up. But like you will pay for that, and that even if it doesn't, that you could argue that you could sort of do a little worse and save a little bit of money, that we're just better off. You hit us up on support, we have your question answered in under 60 seconds. Like that's our goal.
Yeah.
Now, we don't have people working all night. It's not, there's
What?
times when it just doesn't work when you don't get
Preposterous.
that. But from that,
Yeah.
that mentality is that we're going to go a little bit extra into serving our customers such that they are happy about it. And they do. I mean, most of our business comes from people telling other people. It just saying, people love, this is a, I don't know how actionable this tip is, but it's definitely true. People love to talk about things that they like, that they think make them sound smart. If they like something and telling you about it would make them feel smart, kind of helpful, like they're, people will talk about that stuff all day. And I know we kind of lucked into some of that, which is like, oh, you're using company cam. It you feel like you're cheating, but you like it and it helps your business, and the next person doesn't even know about it, and you get to tell them about it. You get to sound smart, and like it. That is such a win if you can ever figure out how to create that situation, or even give your customers some secret information that they
Mhm.
could tell the next person. If they think they know something special that will make them sound smart, promise you they will go around telling other people that. Uh, so anyway, that's homework. What secret can you tell your customer that they will feel smart telling other people? I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know, but that is a good thought. That was a good question. And so part of it, I guess, is like that, that whatever you said, 60-second response. Like you give your team aspirational targets, and it's not like they're meant or expected to hit those targets, but by having those targets makes them become creative on how that can become more possible.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, for us, see, I don't work a lot on sort of goals, like meaning that I'm out to hit like a number. We have goals. We have revenue goals, sales goals. We have all these goals. But what's motivating for me is that it's kind of like I was talking about with the vision, or like imagining what's possible and the can we do it? Like, can we working together make this happen? That's very motivating for me. And I talk to like kind of that question of like, what would it look like if what do you think it would look like to any given person if we were the best at this? If they had the best experience with company cam in this regard, and
Yeah.
support or in customer success or something, and that's a great way to help try to empower people to imagine what that would look like. And sometimes you can't always do it, but if you don't know, I think you said this earlier, which was smart. Like if you don't know, don't even not even aware of it, then you're almost certainly not going to deliver on it. You got to first have the idea.
Yeah. Okay, so in the mindset of time, I want to. So one thing that you're obviously good at, I've been working on. I've really learned a lot over the last 18 months to 24 months. Is the power of leverage and power of people, to be able to not just unlock your time back, but to also drive your business forward that much harder. So early on, when you were starting to get some traction in your business, starting to make some money from it, actually, how long from when you started to when you're profitable? What was that timeline?
Um, 9 years. I mean, we could
Okay.
step back a little bit.
Then my question
In
is not quite gonna be
Yeah,
relevant.
no, the economics of a software business, you can be. I mean, if you are adding customers, you can be profitable. There is a sort of a financial question about the future, which is it more valuable for us to take this money as profits or to invest it into trying to grow more? And for the most part, if you're a software company, especially in the environment, the zero interest rate environment that we were in for quite a while there, growth was valued a lot more than like profitability. And
Mhm. Oh, yeah,
that's
yeah, you look
moving
at the
back
stock look at,
toward.
Like
efficiency.
Peloton. Like, look at Peloton,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Hey, we'll lose $100 a bike, but we'll make it up in volume. Um, and actually, with the amount of people that have subscribed, maybe they will. But we never went crazy in that regard. Like we were always, hey, we want to invest into growth insofar as that keeps resulting in growth and our ability to build better products. And we're going to invest in that. But we're never going to be so over leveraged that we can't get to profitability very quickly if we have to,
If you had
because a
to.
business runs on cash or
Yeah.
the lifeblood of a business. So it took us, I say took us, mostly intentionally, but also in the interest of growth, a long time. And really, it was just this last year that we made any money at all.
So you were living on like break even, but plus you have investors and stuff that have helped get you where you need to be.
Yes, yes,
You're gonna IPO one day?
that's a good question. Another convo I had with my CFO today, which
Yeah.
is again, I run on vibes. I'm not gonna lie. On what, hey, are we proud of this product we're making? Are we this kind of, do we believe in
Oh
this?
man, that gut check is so important.
Yeah, I run on a lot of vibes. And when it comes to the future in this regard, what I tell our team and what I think is, if we create, our only goal is to create value. If we create a ton of value, then we will be able to capture some of that value. And the more value we create, the more opportunity we will be creating for an IPO, for an acquisition, for a liquidity event, as the finance guys would say. And so the short answer is we don't know. We
Yeah.
don't know. And
You're open to it.
what we do know is, hey, if you are the best, you will never lose, is my basic opinion. Now, this is the way I think about it at our company. If we make the best product for solving this problem, we will never go bankrupt. Now, if we're better at sales and marketing, if we had a smarter strategy, there's all sorts of ways in which you can do better, that you can kind of be a multiplier on having great product, great service. Your customers love it. Like, there's tons. That's why you have business coaches. Like, there's tons of opportunity to expand upon that. But I think of it not a prerequisite, but you will never like fail if you have that. It'll always be viable. And so then how do you improve from there? How do you improve your outcome from there? So yeah, the very short answer is I have no idea. Though I do get emails on the regular from these scummy private equity funds trying to offer you 10 cents on the dollar to get you out of your company.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, if the right opportunity came up at the right valuation at the right time, you would consider it, but it's not like your focus. You're focused on making the best product possible.
That, yes. I mean,
Yeah. Makes
I,
sense.
I would say focus on building the best business.
Mhm. Yeah, because it's
And
not
that's,
just product, like you said at the start, right? It's a
yeah.
business that you're building.
If your product is great, you never fail. But if your business is great, it's just sort of a question of how big you're going to succeed. Um, so yeah,
So you talked
that's
about we're like running a little bit low on time. We're like 8 minutes left here. So with that in mind, like you talked a little bit at the start about the problem that you were trying to solve with Company Cam. Just walk me through kind of like what problem Company Cam solves now from like what it did when you initially started it, your like beta product.
yeah.
What problem is it solving right now, and like how are people using it?
So
I actually don't know.
yeah, you're not even using it. No, hey, that's all right.
Using it in my
I'm
coaching
constantly
business on Slack, like
encouraged.
taking
Yeah,
pictures of Slack with Company Cam.
that's funny because we use Slack. I mean, I'm in Slack like 100 times more than I'm in Company Cam. So like the first problem that I was this: how do we get all the stuff together and organized so that we can actually find it later? And if I have to rely on a guy at the end of the day deciding to upload and putting it in the right folder, that will
As
not.
soon as you introduce a human component, it will break. Like, that is what
Yeah,
I've learned, like
exactly. Or
yeah.
it will for sure be unreliable.
Mhm.
And we want it to be reliable. We want it to just work. And so that first essentially idea was like, okay, we use their location. They just take the photos. We organize them under that location, and we instantly like upload them from the field, and we have them all. They pop across your screen at the office, and you never lose anything. You can always search that address, and all those photos are there. That's great. What we realized pretty quick is that is very powerful, and people know when they're disorganized. Like, you can feel the pain if you can't find something, or like that's a problem that you can articulate that you have, but no one knew that if they were getting kind of like this stream of photos from wherever their people were working, almost like this kind of Instagram feed of all their different projects and the latest photos from each of them, that that allows you to it gives you this, we call like real-time visual communication. It gives you this awareness of what's going on that you don't have otherwise. Even if you are organized, you have to go click through folders in Google Drive or something, and that is so powerful. And people do not want to not have that after they have it. Their
So
ability to
so
be,
you take pictures, you guys take pictures on site, it automatically geocodes the address or the location and pairs those photos together. And then on the desktop app, you can log in and you can see like Instagram type, like scroll through all the pictures of each project. And then I guess you can decide if you want to like make like videos too.
yep, videos, photos.
So
I'm going to
like
show you.
collages, you could do some social
So
media
this
things a lot
is
easier.
this is
And
a
so
bad
multiple
view
guys
of it.
taking pictures with
Yeah,
multiple
but
phones.
this is the project feed.
Yeah, I see it.
So this is my dad's roofing business, and I can just like those photos were all taken within the last 5 minutes. So every job there, I can click into that. I can see all the photos. I mean, this job has 5,000 photos. This one has 300. It's this simple thing. The person out in the field, they don't have to think. They open up their phone, and we introduced a step of confirmation now because we couldn't rely on Google to get the address right every time, which is annoying. But the step of, hey, it looks like you're at this job. Oh, yes, I am. Okay, then
Yeah.
you just take pictures. And then those will all sync together. They'll be in this timeline with everyone's stuff together.
I wish I had that
Um,
on like my personal camera roll. My personal
it
like, your camera roll just becomes a jumble of mess where you can't find anything.
it yes, this any one person, usually you have some way of navigating your own mess that's like roughly works for you, even if it's not ideal. You get 3 people involved in that mess, you have a problem. You have
Yeah,
50 people, now you have a disaster. And that's essentially where we were. And
gotcha.
so having that organized, streamed back to the office or, to your phone, wherever you are, is incredibly compelling and useful. And it basically allows you to know more, to see problems before it blows up in your face, to have accountability because the photo doesn't lie. It's
So
timestamped,
as
it's
the
date stamped.
person just, like, thinking about use case, like, as someone, if I was managing, like, 5 sites at a time, like, painting contractors oftentimes will have multiple sites
Hmm.
going. You can have your guys take pictures at the start of the end of the day. You don't even have to text them or check in or anything. You just can check your company cam, see the progress that they're making. Oh, they finished the bathroom. Oh, they finished the
Yep.
ceilings, and just, like, keep on going.
The simple formula, which you intuited, is when you show up, when you leave, whenever you leave, if you leave for lunch, if you come back from lunch, whenever you show up, whenever you leave, and whenever there's a problem or any sort of issue, you just take pictures. And
Mhm.
if you do that, you will cover your butt. You will have the documentation you need in terms of some dispute breaking out about
Yeah.
whether this or that or whatever. And you'll also have the awareness as the owner of just where things stand and what you may need to go investigate or pay more attention to. Like it's this is the hardest almost thing to explain. You see it and then you start to use it. And we always hear people say like, "Oh, it changed my business, a game changer. I couldn't like live without it." And but it doesn't fall into this category. Like everyone knows they need accounting software or things like that. Whereas people are not Googling picture or visual communication app for my painting business. You don't almost know you need it until you see that this is kind of possible. And then, I mean, we've got, I don't know, 30 some thousand companies now that use it like every day. And it just works across all these trades. What I'm most excited, let me tell you what I'm most excited about right now. Not surprisingly, I am excited about AI. I would
I was
like to
actually that was my
like,
next question. I wanted to
yeah.
get into that.
So it, there's a lot of gimmicks that come along. And I think there's going to be a million kind of gimmicky uses for AI that don't actually, I don't know, they just don't
Add
do a
any
lot for
value.
you.
Yeah.
What is extremely compelling, we just rolled this feature out into beta within the last week, and we're letting more and more people use it. But I've always wanted, before we started this company, I remember I'm walking around on this roof. I'm trying to write things in a notebook and take pictures. And it's like, I remember thinking, I just wish I could say everything into this phone. And we had some sort of voice recording thing, but you end up with this audio file that it's just not that useful. So, what AI allows us to do now, though, is for anyone to just, you open your phone, you open Company Cam, and we have what's called like to build a smart note. And so it just starts recording while you're taking pictures, like listening to the audio. And you can mute it, like, but basically you just talk to it. You're like, oh, um this is the bedroom, the east wall or whatever. We need to do this, we need to do that. And it hears everything you're saying, it transcribes it perfectly into text, almost perfectly, better than a human being would do it. It's so good. It transcribes it, and then it organizes it into this notes document with the pictures, and it creates like categories just
Like
based on how you're
labels.
talking. If you're talking about bedrooms and walls, then it'll organize everything by bedrooms and walls. And and then it gets the pictures, the photos into this like really nice editable document where you can just drag the photos around, you can update it. But it's just all you do is walk and talk, and you have better notes than you would have had if you would have been writing everything down. And it's like a dream come true. I mean, we think it's a starting point, really, because there's, I think, going to be a lot more capable here. Like, I just think talking counterintuitively for a camera app, I think our biggest opportunity is in people talking to their phone, especially when you're whatever, you're covered in paint, you're trying to type. There's just so many times where just being able to speak to it, and if you can be confident that it will hear you and understand you, and that whatever you say and capture will become useful to you, you will be able to use in whatever way you want to. Like, you could make a checklist from it, you could spit out this document that then you could have it that generate an email or something. But it's really cool, and it's really exciting, because I think it gives us an opportunity to make something that everyone does literally 3 times better than now. Like, cut out the entire step of having to carry a pencil or write anything, and just know that when you speak it into the phone, it will be there. It will become organized.
How much of that is currently like operational, or is it still beta?
All of it. I mean, sorry. It it is it it's all running right now. Um, some of it is in beta, in that not everyone has access. If you are listening to this and you want to try it, shoot me an email, luke@companycam.com. I will get you on the beta almost immediately,
That's
and you'll
pretty
be
cool.
able to go around and start doing this. Like, we're getting feedback. But
What kind of sorry, I know you got to go in a minute. What kind of
yep,
AI are you have like powering all that?
yep. So a lot of it is the kind of Chat GPT, the OpenAI backend.
Yeah.
We're using a service for transcription that's different, for like taking the audio and turning it into text. There's just a service that's faster.
Otter?
It's called DeepGram. It's like
Okay.
for software people,
Sure.
but it's just fast. It's reliable. It does a
Awesome.
great job. And then like, we have, I mean, this app is oriented around the camera. So we built our own custom camera implementation into Company Cam a long time ago, and we updated it a lot last year. But we're sort of in this position to give you this unified experience. I'm very big on less friction. Like,
Yeah.
it just, how can this be done with fewer steps, with less thinking ahead of time? I gave a big speech to our product designers yesterday about, I open this app, I take pictures, I talk to my phone, I didn't have to decide what I wanted to do other than I walk around, I see things in the world. I want to get that information saved and useful to me. So I take pictures and I talk to my phone. And from there, we need to enable the world. But that is the only thing that they need to think about. They don't need to do anything else. They don't have to come super prepared. Like, because half the time, people that build software often expect you to operate kind of like the machine that the software is. You have to adopt the whole system into your brain. But normal people usually don't want to do that. They're just like, I need to I need to give this person a bid and I need to get this information down so that I can put this bid together. And yeah, so these smart notes I'm super pumped about.
I'm stoked, man.
I'm excited.
You're an entrepreneur, man, and I love it. And honestly, probably one of the most inspirational entrepreneurs that I've had on the podcast. And
Thank you, dude.
I think we could probably talk for 2 or 3 hours, to be honest. But
I don't know if I
I
can
hope
afford your rates.
I
Your
hope you
cut.
can. I hope you come back. I hope you come back on the podcast again, man, because that was awesome. And I
Hey,
can tell that this is gonna be a banger of
literally
an episode.
anytime. I'm happy to do it.
Hey,
So hit me up.
question. I like to
I
do
will be
this
back.
sometimes to the guests that I'm feeling good about. What can you offer? I put you on the spot. What can you
Oh yeah.
offer the listeners who made it all the way to the end as like a special promo for trying to
Okay.
help you come?
We will. If you go to companycam.com/painter growth, uh, and you sign up for a free trial of Company Cam. It's a free trial. You risk nothing. You just test it out. And if you email me, you'll get on the beta and you'll be able to do this AI thing and it'll be cool. Companycam.com/painter growth. We'll make a page and we'll give you 50% off your first 2 months if you decide to stick around. If not, you can just do some AI stuff and you can walk away and no sweat off anyone's back.
Boom.
But I will send a Slack message and that page will be live in 5 minutes.
Amazing. Well, I will. Well, this podcast won't be live till maybe Monday or Wednesday, but we'll let you know when it does. And dude, thank you so much for your time. This is wonderful.
Mike, this was great, man. I loved it. And I'm serious. I would totally be happy to do it again.
Be careful what you wish for.
I will. Hey. All right. I got to run. I'll see you later.
Thanks, Luke. Peace. Thanks for listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. If you want to grow your painting business, go to www.paintergrowth.com or click on the top link in the description. Talk soon.